What would you say if a detective smiled at you right now and said, "Let's just chat informally for a minute"? If you answer the wrong way, you can build the case against yourself before you ever see handcuffs. The worst part is, they may not need to read you your rights first. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to show you could stop you from talking your way into charges. Like this video too, because when panic hits, you need these exact words in your head. Here's what you're about to learn. The first question that changes the whole power balance. The one sentence that clearly shuts down questioning. The line that blocks a friendly search of your phone, car, or home. And the mistake that turns your silence into something prosecutors can use later. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is always the same. The officer sounds calm. The person being questioned tries to look innocent. Then one little answer becomes a timeline, then a contradiction, then a reason to dig deeper. Let me show you exactly how to stop that chain before it starts. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it forces the officer to deal with your rights instead of your nerves. Now let's talk about why this moment is so dangerous. A detective almost never says, "I'm here to get a confession." They say, "Help me understand." They say, "I just want your side." They say, "If you've got nothing to hide, this will be quick." That sounds safe, it feels casual, but it is not casual for you. It is evidence gathering for them. Here's the reality. The whole point of an informal chat is to make you forget the stakes. Most people have no idea that a voluntary conversation can still wreck them. They think only arrests matter. They think only the station house matters. They think only guilty people need a lawyer. That is exactly why so many innocent people talk too much. They try to be helpful, and helpful turns into harmful fast. The first thing you need to do is force the detective to say what this is. You look at the detective and say this, "Am I free to leave?" Those exact 6 words, word for word. Memorize that line. If they say yes, you leave. Not after one more question, not after one more explanation. You leave. If they say no, now you know this is not a friendly little chat. That one question matters because it pulls the mask off the encounter. Florida v. Royer basically said, police can ask questions in public, but you do not have to answer, and you can go on your way if it's voluntary. In plain English, if it's really just a chat, you can end it. This is 100% legal. Bad way. Most people say, "Sure, I can talk for a minute." Then the detective keeps them standing there and starts collecting details, names, times, and little mistakes. Good way. Smart people say, "Am I free to leave?" Then the detective has to admit it's voluntary or show that you're being detained. That matters because once you stay and talk, you start feeding the machine. You may think you're clearing things up. The detective is thinking about your wording, your timing, your body language, and every tiny change in your story. If you say you were home at 8, then later say around 8:30, they don't hear normal human memory. They hear inconsistency. If you say you barely know someone, then later admit you texted them last week, they don't hear context. They hear deception. Let me show you exactly why this first question is so powerful. It stops you from drifting into an interview you never meant to join. And yes, detectives hate this question because it forces a clean choice. Either they let you walk or they escalate and show their hand. That is better for you than standing in the middle, guessing. Here's the reality. Confusion is where people surrender rights. Clarity is where you protect them. If they say, "Why are you nervous?" Ignore the bait. Repeat the question once if needed. "Am I free to leave?" Calm voice, no attitude, no speech, no extra words. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it helps show whether the encounter was truly voluntary. Watch what happens when a person asks it early. The detective has less room to blur the line and more pressure to be direct. That protects you immediately. Think you could ask that question without filling the silence? Let me know in the comments. Because this is the moment most people lose control. If the detective says you are not free to leave, or if they keep pressing you in a way that clearly feels like an interrogation, your next move has to be clear and loud enough to count. Here's exactly what you say. "I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and I want a lawyer." Word for word. Memorize that line too. Do not say, "Maybe I should get a lawyer." Do not say, "Do you think I need a lawyer?" Do not say, "I don't know if I should talk." Those soft lines sound human, but they are weak. They leave room for more questions. Your line must be firm. "I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and I want a lawyer." Listen closely because this is critical. Silence by itself can be risky in a voluntary interview. In Salinas versus Texas, the Supreme Court said, you cannot just sit there and assume the Fifth Amendment is protecting you in a non-custody setting. In plain English, if you want that protection, you need to say so. That is why this line matters so much. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. Miranda versus Arizona says that when police question you in custody, you must be warned about your right to remain silent and your right to a lawyer. But if the detective is playing the just chat with me game, the fight is often about whether you were really in custody yet. So don't gamble on that gray area. Claim your rights clearly, Bad way. Most people say, I'm innocent, so I'll explain. Then they start answering selective questions and the detective keeps narrowing the trap. Good way. Smart people say, I am invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer. Then the legal ground gets much stronger and every extra question becomes more risky for the detective. If the detective pushes back, expect lines like these. Lawyers make this look guilty. If you didn't do anything, why not help us? We can clear this up in 5 minutes. None of that changes your answer. Watch what happens when someone calmly repeats the line instead of arguing. The detective loses the easy path. No more fishing, no more just one thing, no more story building through your own mouth. And remember this, asking for a lawyer is not an admission. It is protection. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it is clean, direct, and hard to twist. Former police officers have confirmed this works because officers know a clear invocation changes the whole interview. Now let's talk about the next trap, because this is where informal turns into hand me your whole life. The detective says, mind if I look through your phone? Or let me just take a quick look in your car. Or can we step inside and talk? Here's exactly what you say. I do not consent to any searches of my phone, car, home, or belongings. Word for word. Keep it simple. Do not say, well, I guess if you need to. Do not say, only for a second. Do not say, I've got nothing to hide. That line has buried so many people. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. The minute you consent, you can hand them a shortcut they did not have before. In Schneckloth v. Bustamante, the Supreme Court said, a voluntary consent search can be valid even when the person did not fully understand every detail of the right they were giving up. In plain English, if you say yes, you may have just opened the door for them. That is why you do not debate. You do not explain. You do not soften it. I do not consent to any searches. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection when the request sounds casual, but the risk is huge. Bad way. Most people say, sure, go ahead, I've got nothing in there. Then the search grows, the scope expands, and private stuff becomes evidence. Good way. Smart people say, I do not consent to any searches of my phone, car, home, or belongings. Then the detective has to rely on real legal authority instead of your panic. This matters even more with phones. Your phone is not just a device. It is your map, your messages, your photos, your search history, your contacts, your whole daily life. A quick look can turn into screenshots, metadata, and names you never planned to discuss. Same with your house. Once a detective is inside, they're observing more than you think. Same with your car. One so-called quick peek can become a full mess. So keep the line clean and short. No consent, no maybe, no apology, just no. This is 100% legal. And if they really do have lawful grounds already, your refusal does not create those grounds. It simply stops you from donating them extra help. Most people already clicked away. If you're still here, you're serious about protecting yourself. Drop a comment saying I'm still here, because this next move is what stops you from talking yourself into trouble after you already invoked your rights. The fourth move is where people blow it even after they did the hard part right. They invoke their rights, then they get uncomfortable with silence and start talking again. Do not do that. After you invoke, your job is simple. Say this, I will not answer questions without my lawyer present. Then stop. That is it. No side story, no angry speech, no just one thing though. No trying to sound cooperative. Your power is in the stop. Bad way. Most people say, I want a lawyer, but I can tell you one quick thing. Then that one quick thing becomes the headline in the report. Good way. Smart people say, I will not answer questions without my lawyer present. Then the detective loses the free flow confession they were waiting for. This part feels rude to normal people. That is why it works. You were trained your whole life to explain yourself, smooth things over, and answer authority figures. Detectives know that. They use pauses. They use silence. They use fake sympathy. They use lines like, I'm trying to help you. But your mouth is not your rescue plan here. Your lawyer is. If the detective keeps talking, you do not need to win a debate. You just repeat the line once more if needed. I will not answer questions without my lawyer present. Then shut up again. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection once you've invoked. And yes, it feels awkward. Good. Awkward is cheaper than charges. If the detective called you on the phone or showed up at your door, there is one more clean exit line you should know. Please give me your card. My lawyer will contact you. That keeps you from getting dragged into a surprise interview on your porch, in your office parking lot, or while holding a crying kid and groceries. People say dumb things when they are unprepared. This line buys time, creates distance, and moves the conversation where it belongs. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it cuts off the spontaneous interview they were hoping for. If they really need to talk, your lawyer can handle the setup. If they were just fishing, the energy changes fast. Let me tie the legal part together in plain English. Miranda v. Arizona says that when police are questioning you in custody, they have to warn you that you can stay silent and ask for a lawyer. That case exists because pressure inside police questioning is real, and the court knew people talk when they feel trapped. Salinas v. Texas matters because it says your right to stay silent is not magic in a voluntary interview. If you want the protection, you need to say you're invoking it. Just staring at the floor is not enough. Florida v. Royer matters because it explains the line between a voluntary encounter and a detention. Police can ask questions, but you do not have to answer. And if it's voluntary, you can leave. Put those three together and the playbook becomes simple. First, find out what this is. Am I free to leave? Second, if it's not free or it starts turning into questioning, say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer. Third, block the search shortcut. I do not consent to any searches. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and it connects to every tactic I just showed you. Now, picture the real-world version. A detective calls and says your name came up in an investigation. He says you're not in trouble. He says he just wants to clear a few things up. The wrong way starts fast. You say, sure, I've got nothing to hide. You drive to the station alone. You sit in a small room. He says it's informal. You relax. He asks where you were, who you were with, why your phone pinged near a place, why someone mentioned your name. You answer because each question sounds small. Then you get one detail wrong. Then you correct it. Then he asks to see your phone so he can verify something. You hand it over because you want to look helpful. By the time you leave, you think you cleared things up. In reality, you gave him a timeline, a statement, a possible inconsistency, and maybe your data. Now the right way. The detective says, let's just chat informally. You say, am I free to leave? If this is at your door or in public and he says yes, you say, please give me your card. My lawyer will contact you, and you end it. If you're already in a room and the answer is no, you say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and I want a lawyer. Then he asks to see your phone. You say, I do not consent to any searches of my phone, car, home, or belongings. Then he tries the guilt move. Only guilty people need lawyers. You say, I will not answer questions without my lawyer present. And then you stop. Watch what happens. The whole interview dries up. No rambling, no guessing, no donating evidence. Let me show you exactly why this matters. The wrong path feels friendly at first and dangerous later. The right path feels awkward at first and protective later. Choose awkward. Next week, I'm revealing what to say when police ask to search your phone, just to verify one thing. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that trick destroys people every single day. So here's your quick recap. First, force clarity with, am I free to leave? Because you need to know if this is truly voluntary. Second, if the questioning keeps going, clearly say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer, because silence alone can fail you. Third, shut down the shortcut with, I do not consent to any searches of my phone, car, home, or belongings, because consent can give police what they did not already have. Fourth, after you invoke, stop talking and repeat. I will not answer questions without my lawyer present, because your own extra words are often the thing that hurts you most. That one short script can change your whole outcome. Hit subscribe so you catch that phone search video next week. Smash that like button if this just saved you from a future disaster. And drop a comment telling me which exact line you're going to memorize first. Stay sharp and stay safe. Understanding these interactions is the first step toward true legal empowerment in the modern world. Never underestimate the power of knowing exactly what to say before a single question is even asked. Your rights are a shield, but they only work if you are brave enough to hold them up. Police are trained to find the path of least resistance, so you must become a legal obstacle. By following this script, you ensure that the legal process remains fair and within constitutional bounds. The goal is not to be combative, but to be clear, consistent, and legally protected at all times. When you use these lines, you shift the focus from your behavior to the officer's legal requirements. Remember, the most dangerous weapon in an investigation is often your own desire to be liked. Courts have consistently ruled that you must affirmatively claim your rights to receive their full protection. Every time you stay silent and wait for your lawyer, you are participating in the justice system. The difference between a witness and a suspect can often be found in the first 5 minutes. Protect your digital life just as fiercely as you protect your physical space from unwanted intrusions. A calm, professional demeanor while asserting rights is the most effective way to handle any police contact. Preparation today prevents a lifetime of regret tomorrow when dealing with high-stakes legal situations. Knowing the law is good, but knowing how to apply it under pressure is where true safety lies. Final thought. Silence is not an admission of guilt, it is an exercise of constitutional liberty.